I'll look around.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year, and I hope that your year is off to a fantastic start. I have been gone for a while, admittedly, but I am back and with a video that I'm extremely excited to share because I think my gap year was one of the best decisions that I ever made, but there's a lot of questions that surround it, and so I wanted to make a video because I was fortunate enough to be able to take one, and I think I learned a lot about saving money and how to travel efficiently and cheaply, being able to evaluate my education a bit, and a whole lot of things that I will get into. So in order to cover this video the best that I can, I am going to frame it first by answering some questions or concerns that I usually get, second by covering exactly what I did, and then 3, ending with how to convince your parents to let you take one if you want that. The first question that I would get a lot is, won't you feel behind because everyone will be younger than you once you get to school? Now that I've completed my first semester at college, I don't feel behind whatsoever. There's even a guy on my floor of my residence hall that's 5 days older than me, and he did not take a gap year. People can't really tell, and I feel like maturity levels are kind of all over the place at this point in our lives, and so you definitely don't feel like an outsider, and I do understand this concern completely. The second question that I'd get a lot is if I would feel behind academically, and this is another one that I totally understand, but this past semester, because I can finally talk on that more now, because I feel like before college I wasn't really sure. I was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm just gonna trust the process, and I'm so glad that I did, because I took 15 credits, which I think is pretty average. I earned a 4.0 GPA, and I worked multiple clubs. I went out every weekend. I got at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, and I'm a STEM major, and I was working a job. Yeah, like a job, like 2 jobs maybe, and I still did really well. And I think that once again that speaks to how you have been working your brain for 12 years in the same way. You're memorizing information, you're studying, you're communicating by seminars, presentations, etc. Those skills will not leave you in a year. I just recommend once in a while reading a blog post or a book of your choosing, just to make sure to train that a tiny bit, to just jog it, but you're for sure not going to lose all of it in only a year. And then another question I would get is if I felt lonely, because the majority of people are at college. With how busy I was with working and other things, I didn't really feel it. It just felt like a super long summer vacation when all of your other friends are also on vacation. So those are the top 3 questions that I would get. I also want to touch on the behind thing a little bit more, is that you're not in a race, right? I want to really push that, because I feel like a lot of people feel really pressured to just go on to college right away, right after high school, but you're supposed to enjoy your life, you're supposed to live it the best way that you can, and I think a gap year is the perfect chance to do that, and it was for me anyways. So this leads me to what I did during my gap year. So mainly what I did is I worked full-time as a shift lead at a coffee shop, and then I also coached debate at the high school that I graduated from, and so I would coach once a week, and then I judged/coached tournaments every Saturday, and I loved every second of it. In terms of being a barista, maybe not so much, because I have never come across so many self-entitled people in my life, but I made a video on that. It's on my channel, so I will leave that alone. And then the second thing that I did is that I traveled, and so I went to Qatar to actually meet my roommate, who's currently my roommate, and we're also living together next year, which is amazing. Singapore and Hong Kong, and that was about a 3.5-week trip, and it was beautiful. I think I'm gonna make a video about how to travel cheaply as well, to help some people out, because I've gotten many questions about that as well. And the last thing that I did, which I guess is kind of a job as well, but I kind of put it into more of political activism, is that I did canvassing or door knocking for a local representative in my area, and he actually got elected, and so that was really fun because I got to do some direct talking to strangers with different views than I did and do some convincing, and I don't know, it really inspired me because I realized that was something I really liked to do. And so once again, a gap year doing that for me. And I also feel like a lot of people who do take gap years do really impressive internships or long-term study abroad to do volunteer work and such, but I just really wanted to stay home and to work. I recommend doing whatever you feel is best because your admission to college probably won't be affected that much as long as you demonstrate that you were busy. Because when I went to an NYU meeting, I asked them about that. I was like, so I am taking a gap year. What do you think as an admissions officer or admissions representative, whatever, as someone working in admissions, what do you think when you see somebody that took a gap year? And what they told me is that they don't treat them any differently. They just want to make sure that they use their time efficiently during their gap year. And so that means working, that means extracurriculars, that means just typical high school things, except you're not in school. So I found that really helpful and also very reassuring because at the time I was very nervous because it kind of got to my head when people told me that my admissions to college would be worsened because I took a gap year, which just totally isn't true. And I'm at a fantastic university that I love with my whole heart. And so please don't let that get in your head because college admission seasons is stressful and I don't miss that point in my life at all. So I just want to get that out there. Lastly, how to convince your parents or maybe even other people that this is right for you. I feel like this last section can also be used as a check to see whether or not this is something that you want to do. And the first one is to communicate the importance of it because of how valuable it'll be to your maturity and independence. I feel like people who take a gap year really have to put themselves out there and kind of take a risk. This is you taking a really important step for yourself, and that's totally fine. I think the second biggest thing is pressing how integral this is to saving money. You will never have the same amount of time as you will when you take this gap year because you will be able to work full time to save that money because you won't be putting it towards any kind of tuition. Third, having extra time to apply for college once you get there. I didn't apply for college during my senior year. 5 is that you will be able to take advantage of travel opportunities. There are youth tickets all over the place, and I will make a video about that eventually, about my travel tips, because I have a lot that I want to share with people. And then 6, to convince your parents. I mean, if they really want you to go to college, making a PowerPoint on the reasons why you want to take a gap year, give them a clear outline of what you want to accomplish, ask them what you want from them, which is maybe housing. Like, let me stay in my room for just 1 more year so that I can really figure myself out, because this will probably save our entire family more money later on. And so, of course, I make this video with the lens that college is going to be in the future and that parents are going to be a big factor in this decision, just because it was for me. I'm very glad that I did it, and my first semester of college, I think, was more successful as a result. And so thank you so much for watching this. I genuinely really hope that it helped you out, and if you still have questions about my gap year or what you should do in your gap year, do not hesitate to reach out. And so thank you. I appreciate you. I will see you in the next one.